For Merrill Harrison of the Zimbabwe SPCA, every day brings a new challenge. The conflict between white farmers and war veterans taking over their land has led to immense suffering for a silent third party, the thousands of animals caught in the crossfire of volatile Zimbabwean politics.
I remember watching it and thinking SPCA must have a role to play here somewhere. With these farm invasions, the animals need protecting.
In recent months, she has become increasingly busy as reports of animal abuse and neglect stream in. It's Monday morning, and today is going to be no different. A man has come in seeking help. Adolf Dube has news of someone's cow which is in grave distress.
So the whole last night I was just praying to God, look, help me to find the authentic assistance.
It seems he has come to the right place. Half an hour later, Merrill and her two trusty lieutenants, Admore Chinembe and Justin Samakande, travel 40 kilometers into the rural areas outside Harare. We are told the cow has been wedged down the bottom of this hole for 5 days. Until now, no one has bothered to come to its aid, because no one knows who the owner is. It's a symptom of the general upheaval in Zimbabwe's rural areas. Many farmers have left. A lot of the fences have been cut by the war veterans, and often animals roam around freely. A local war veteran leader agrees to let the rescuers use a tractor for leverage. Adolf Dube prays that this will work. Although not badly injured, the animal is too weak to get up after its 5-day ordeal. They will have to come back and check on it later.
Okay.
In this case, it was merely neglect that caused this cow to suffer. But often, the images Merrill is confronted with are much worse.
There's been a lot of slashing of cattle, terrific amount. And as somebody said, you'd have thought, well, if, it's food. If they killed them for food, maybe people would accept it more. But what for? Just to get back to the farm, where we've had 2 dairy calves, 8-week-olds, bashed to death with boulders, and their bodies just thrown on the compost heap, just to get back at the farmer.
But it seems that in times of upheaval, human cruelty knows no bounds. Another of Merrill's calls was to a pig farm. She didn't know it yet, but unspeakable horror awaited her.
It was a logistical nightmare, 800 pigs left with no food. By the time we were called in, the pigs had been without food and water for nearly 2 weeks. There were carcasses all over the place. Live pigs were eating dead pigs. I tried to remove some of the carcasses and pick them up, but they disintegrated in my hand, so I ended up letting the live pigs out of the sties. The workers had promised me and the war vets that we could take 2 truckloads of pigs. Then everything ground to a halt. They said we could only take the sick pigs. In the end, I paid them out of my own pockets.
Many Zimbabwean farmers no longer occupy their land. The Wheeler family is one such example. Some months ago, they were notified that their farm had been earmarked for resettlement. The Wheelers decided to fight this by barricading themselves into their house, but to no avail. After a 24-day standoff, the settlers got the upper hand by seizing Shannon Wheeler's parents.
They had pangas, assegais, catapults, you name it. They had them, rocks. They were throwing these rocks, they were throwing at our roof, at our house. It was 7 o'clock at night. We were worried what was happening to my parents outside. Like I said, the fires were lighting, and we just took what we knew was very important documentation, and then we moved out.
Because of these circumstances, their 6 large dogs were left behind on the occupied farm. The Wheelers can't go back. so Merrill and her team are asked to try and get the dogs out. Merrill has arranged that the Wheelers meet her at the turnoff to their farm. It's as close as they're going to get to their former home.
We have to stick strictly to our job, and the minute the farmer comes with us, it starts to look as if we're a sort of unit, and it's just too confrontational.
All that remains now is to wait. No one has been able to check on the animals for a week. No one knows if they're still alive.
Okay, move, dog.
Finally, Merrill's blue pickup is seen coming down the road.
Kom, Delta. Kom, Delta.
All the dogs appear to be fine, just hungry and very thirsty.
It makes me cry when I see people reunited with their dogs. Does it?
The future may be uncertain for both the owners and their dogs, but at least they're all in good health. Not all dogs are that lucky.
So looking back, so many of these dogs made an impact on me. Nandy was another one at a farm at Lion's Den. The dogs were all abducted when the house was invaded, and then the house was burnt and trashed and looted. And I walked into the house sort of crunching around the glass and bricks and everything, and I don't know what, I made down the passage, turned right, went into the shower, what was left of it, and little Nandy was lying in the corner, eyes just in the back of her head. Later on, when we got her to the vet at Chinoy, it was to find that her jaw had been broken, and the vet said that every inch of her body had been beaten. Anyway, I'm pleased to say she made a very good recovery, and she's now back with the owners, who, of course, not on the farm. They're, I think, staying in a house in Chinoy.
With Merrill visiting so many farms, sooner or later things can get difficult.
We've had one nasty incident in Marandera where we were actually surrounded. We'd got the animals in the truck, 6 dogs, 2 cats. The war vets had been with us, and as we left, this big crowd came up the drive and demanded the keys of the house. You've just got to sense the mood and not push your luck. If it gets too tense, there's no point in being a hero. And I have to add, in all these rescues, we've never been refused a police escort.
Another day, another animal rescue. This time on a farm that hit the headlines earlier this year. Farmer Terry Ford was shot in March during a late-night altercation with farm invaders. The picture of the dog Squeak guarding the body of his owner was seen the world over. Terry's son Mark has recovered most of their livestock from the occupied farm through lengthy negotiations with the settlers. A week previously, he finally retrieved their 24 thoroughbreds. All were in a shocking condition. One had to be put down.
These are all saddle marks. What they had is they found old saddles and they just make matchup. So this is where all these tools come from. I'll show you this worst one from them.
One last mare called Star, a horse Mark has had since childhood, had been chased away by the settlers and could not be found. It's now up to Merrill and her team, as well as Jill Munn, a volunteer helper, to go back to Gowrie Farm and attempt to pick up Star. They're in luck. Star is waiting patiently under a big tree, and today there is no friction with the settlers. In a country that has become increasingly polarized, it's vitally important that Merrill and her team remain neutral.
We are totally non-political. There's no point in us being arrogant, critical. We do have to get on with the war vets. We just have to stay focused on our agenda and our mission, and that is to save animals, nothing else.
And that means that the animals of land invaders get equal treatment with those of farmers.
If you phone us to say that the dog is sick again, when he comes in, we'll give you the collars. Because I know roughly the size we need?
Yeah, really.
Okay, no, it's
Oh,
a good idea.
thanks very
Okay,
much.
thanks guys.
An hour's drive away, Star is about to meet up with her relieved owner.
No, good, I'm happy to see this old horse.
The hematoma at the back as well.
This here's a little old farm horse. Well, this is my first horse. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's the last of the horses off there, which is a good thing. Last of the animals.
And shortly afterwards, Star and her foal have a chance to reacquaint themselves. Today, there is a happy ending, but the long months of stressful work are starting to take their toll.
Sometimes I think, I get up in the morning and I know we've got a farm to do, and I sit on the end of bed and I think, I can't face one more farm. It's so depressing walking around empty farms, people's whole lives on the floor, trash smashed, you know, wedding photographs, graduation photographs, Christmas decorations crunched into the ground, kids' toys.
But until the elusive dream of peace and stability returns to Zimbabwe, Inspector Admore Chinembe's diary will continue to fill up.
We've got 2 horse rescues to do this week. It's hard to say, but we're here until it's finished.